Okay, so here's the kit from Hardmotion. Comes with a clutch line, some nice fittings on it, stainless steel braided, nice and flexible, easy to route. Probably just have to zip tie it out of the way. The EM1 clutch master cylinder, Honda part, new slave cylinder, and I'll show you the side-by-side of the stock ones compared to these. Also comes with a new rod for the slave. This is what actually pushes against your clutch fork. Good set of instructions came with mine from Hardmotion, and the only modification you have to do is, you can see here, remove the snap ring. That's what these pliers for right here, and that snap ring is located right underneath this boot in here. But the reason that you have to take this rod out is because it's too long compared to the 8th Gen Civic Si rod, which is a little bit shorter. So I'll show you the side-by-side. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do, come into the car. I got my headlamp rigged up here so I can show you guys. This is the clutch pedal. And there's where the clutch master comes through the firewall. You have a 12mm bolt right there, and another one on the other side. Be kind of hard to see, but it is right over there. You'll need a long extension. But before you take those 12s out, you'll see this pin right here. It's at the end of the rod. Take that pin out right here. You might have to get like some pliers and pull it and twist it a little bit. And once you pull that pin out, you'll push the rod out that way, and that will release the push rod. Then you undo your 2 12s, and you're done as far as inside. Okay, so I just got the pin out. This is what it looks like when it comes out. And here's the, I guess I should have said clip. This is the clip that holds it in, and it is kind of weird. It has a hook on it. When it's in, it's actually up like that. So what I did was, I took a flathead screwdriver. I got it in the end of the pin like that, and I just twisted it and pulled it out. And it worked better than just trying to grab it with pliers, because of the way that that hook is on there. Alright, so the next step, for me, I have a hybrid racing cold air intake, so I removed that. If you do have your stock intake, it's going to fill up this whole area, which you already know, so you're going to have to remove all that stuff. I did remove the plastic piece and the metal cowl that goes across here, because the CMC is way down. This is your brake master cylinder here. The clutch one is way back in there. You can just barely see it. So in order to get access to it, you have to remove this whole cowl. So down here, I'm working on the slave, which is down here. Kind of hard to see because there's a shadow, but right where my hand is, those two 12mm bolts right there, that's where the slave bolts up. The hard line comes around here to this bracket, and there's a 10mm bolt right here. So remove that 10mm, remove those two 12mm. The hard line switches to a soft line, loops up, and attaches over here. There's another 10mm right there that I'm touching. Hopefully you can see that. And there's also going to be another 10mm right next to it. That I took out, looks like this. It goes in right down in there. If you remove those two brackets, it'll make this a lot easier. The hard line continues right here, comes up under the ECU. Goes down, and then it turns and goes into the CMC. But the rest of the way is all just these plastic clips. You can just pop it out of these plastic clips. There's a green clip down here. You can just pop that open. Okay, so I got those two 12mm bolts out. You can see the slave is disconnected. Kind of hard to see with the sun in the shade right now, but it is disconnected down there. I got this bracket off. This bracket was attached right there, and the other bracket right here. So that's removed. Now all this is loose, and the only thing left is that green clip right there, and this one 10mm bolt right there that you have to remove, and the only way to get in there is to have like a small wrench right like this. I couldn't really fit a socket in there, but remove that 10mm and that'll loosen up your reservoir. Okay, so I managed to get the whole unit out all in one piece. I saw that some people said, you know, you can just cut this line, but you really don't want to get a lot of brake fluid on your paint or any rubber seals like your axle seals. You don't want to get brake fluid on any of that stuff. So I didn't want to cut and make a mess, so luckily I was able to get everything out. So this is how the stock one looks. It's a hard line, goes to a loop for some reason. Those are the two brackets that were removed, and the hard line goes all the way up to the CMC, and then this line here goes to the reservoir. But here's a side-by-side, so you can see that this rod is longer than the stock one. And I did notice also that these bolts on this one are a little bit longer, but that shouldn't be a problem. I think it's a good idea to take a measuring tape and measure exactly where this one is. For me, it's 1 inch to the back of the nut, from the CMC to the back of the nut. So we're going to be swapping out this rod into this CMC next. Alright, so it's time to take this rod out of here. So try to get the snap ring out. Got it. Okay. So want to make sure you leave that grease in there. That's there for a reason. So according to the instructions, I need to take this snap ring and this retainer off of this EM1 rod and swap it to the stock rod. So looks like we're gonna have to remove this bracket. Okay, so now I've removed the EM1 rod. You can see how much longer the EM1 rod is compared to the stock one. So we get rid of that. And I took this retainer off of that rod, put it on the stock rod. Now I can put this here. Get our snap ring, and hopefully put this back together. Okay, just double check. We got that down where it's supposed to go. Okay. So that should be it. Now we have our stock push rod in the EM1 CMC. Now we can reassemble. And we can measure and get this exactly where we need it. So hopefully when we install this in the car, we don't have to mess with adjusting too much. Should be nice not to have to adjust. So we got that right at 1 inch to the back of the nut. So I'm going to tighten this down now. Just going to hold this with some pliers and just tighten this nut right here. And that's it. Now we have our stock rod and bracket in the EM1 CMC. Alright, so what I did was assembled the whole new kit. I attached the line to the slave. I put the new rod in, which is pretty easy. You just slide the boot over the rod, and then you put the rod with the boot. The boot just kind of clips on here. And I did manage to get the CMC in place. It took a little finagling, but you can see it down in there. One thing I had to play with was the hard line comes out of the CMC at a 90, so I had to turn it to the left mostly for it to be able to fit. I tried, a couple different angles, and this angle pretty far to the left seems to work the best. It almost contacts, like you can see the top of the line there, it almost contacts the car, but looks like it just barely fits. So I did get it bolted in, and it seems good. You will have to detach this line that goes to the reservoir, because you have to fish it through underneath the brakes and up through these wires over here. Then reattach it and put that 10mm bolt back in there. So right now I'm going to reattach this, put the bolt in. I'm going to fill this up with fluid, and I'm going to see if I can get this to bleed. I have a hand pump bleeder that I'm going to attach to the end, and hopefully it works. Okay, so I got everything installed. I showed you I got the CMC installed. I got the slave installed and put into place, and I was able to bleed the system pretty easily. I didn't record that part because I was doing it by myself, so a little difficult to record, but you can look up different ways to bleed brakes or clutch. It's not very complicated. I didn't bother bench bleeding it. I just installed everything and bled it that way, and it was bled pretty quick. But you can see I got my clutch line here. There's plenty of slack on it, so I think I'll just zip tie it here out of the way. But now for the best part. Go test drive and see how it is. Alright, so I think I got a pretty good spot. See if we can't launch this thing. Hopefully do some quicker shifts, no grinding. See what happens. I'm gonna start off in first. I'm not gonna fucking rev the shit out of it. I'm just gonna fucking put it in first and go. Nice! Woo! way better. Wow, that's shifting so much better. Damn, that feels good. Wow, so that's way, 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 way better. No grinds at all. Way, way better. I don't know what else to say. Really happy with it. I think because I measured the push rod from the clutch pedal to the CMC, I think because I measured that and put it back exactly the same, I didn't have to touch anything. I just put the CMC in, make sure it was at 1 inch for me, and it's perfect. So really happy with it. I hope these videos help you guys out. I've had a lot of fun with this car. I've had it for a couple years, and every upgrade I do to it seems to make it better and more fun to drive. So here in another month or so, I'll be going to the track in May, so it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we don't break anything. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching.